So let's talk about money. It's tax season right now, and a lot of you guys have done your taxes. You're going to get your refunds back either March or April, and you're going to try to figure out what to do with that money. Some of you guys are going to spend it on paying off debt. Some of you guys are going to spend it on buying some new clothes, maybe something for your wife or girlfriend or children or friends, or you might just bank it, you know. And one thing that I want to discuss here is kind of like what the good and the bad of money. Because here's the thing. So in the last Speak Them I did here on Speak Them Saturday, I talked about how I was homeless, and I want to actually go a little bit more into that. So I have been at one time in my life at the complete bottom of the barrel. I made some mistakes, and this is back in 2008 when the stock market went belly up. That's when everything went really bad. And I had no investment in the stock market. I want everybody to know I was 24 years old, 23, 24, and I had no investment in the stock market. I had nothing in there at all, right? But because of what happened with the economy, work was not easy to find. You couldn't find a job, at least where I lived at, that was sufficient whatsoever. And I actually came very close to working fast food, which I might tell that story. I might tell that story in a separate video because it's a very personal I guess, reflective time for me when it came to that, when I almost went back to work at Checkers. I'll discuss that in a different video, though, so you guys know where I'm coming from. Or maybe I'll talk about it in this video, but probably not. When I do these speak thems, I just wing it. I don't script or bullet point. I just talk. So I lost everything. I made some bad decisions. I worked to go work as an insurance salesman, and in 2008, nobody was selling insurance. I was tricked by a friend of a friend who made me believe I could make $100,000 a year selling insurance. And I couldn't make $100,000 a year selling insurance. And I went in there the first day and I said, listen, if this is door-to-door sales, I don't want to do it. And about a month and a half later, after training, after I spent a whole bunch of money on books, I took my exam to get certified as an actual like health, life, and variable annuities salesman, or whatever you want to call it. I lost a lot of money that I spent on getting those books and the tests. And then I go door-to-door selling when I told them I didn't want to do that. We're outside and we're literally going business to business. Hey, do you want to look at our critical illness policy? And it was like, wait a minute, this is not what I wanted to do. I'm not very good at door-to-door sales. Some of you guys out there are probably great at it. I'm not good at it. And the job was really bad. I wound up losing it. Well, actually, I kind of quit because I wasn't making any money and it wasn't what I wanted to do. Didn't really make any money. And then I made another bad decision by working for a company that promised me a whole bunch of money as well. And then they fired me after a week because they overstaffed. In other words, they hired like 3 dudes within a week. Then the workflow went down, so they got rid of me. There's a much deeper story of that as well. Because I actually that traumatized me as well because it really pissed me off and soured me on the idea of having to travel to work, at least far distances. I used to travel 2 hours every morning to go to work. And then what wound up happening is I couldn't find another job, and I couldn't pay my rent. I was evicted. I was literally evicted from my apartment. I had to leave. So I took all my stuff and I left. And I had very sentimental things there, like my mother, who had been dead for a couple years. I had her couches and her dining room table, which she freaking loved. She loved these things, and I had to give that up. And I didn't want to because she had passed away. I wanted to take care of it for her, and I lost it. I never got it back. Things like that happened during that time. And at the time, me and my dad weren't speaking. The reason why I want to talk about money is because, be smart with your money. People have said in the past that I'm very frugal with my money. Now, when I'm doing good in life, when things are going well, I'm very generous, I feel like, with my money. I don't talk about this because whenever you say these things, people tend to judge you. Oh, look, he's bragging about it, how generous he is. He must not mean it. And that's a bunch of shit. Like, when have I ever talked about that on here? I'm talking about it now because it means something. Whenever somebody, here's the thing you have to understand. When somebody gloats about the things they do nice for other people, yeah, it could be bad because it comes off like BS. But if they do it rarely, then it probably means something. And in this case, it means something. Like, I am generous when I'm doing okay, but when I'm not doing okay, I'm very frugal. And when I fear not doing okay, that's when I become very frugal. Like, if I get written up at work, for example, right, and I know I'm in jeopardy of losing my job, I tend to kind of save my money more because I know what's coming. I know the pain that I'm about to hit if I do lose my job. Things like that I've kind of picked up on throughout the years. So when you get your tax return money, please don't be ghetto fabulous. Please don't be one of those people who has to go out there and pretend to have more money than they actually do and buy like really expensive like shoes, like overpriced shoes, I mean, or like jewelry, or like I knew some people in my real life who I'm not going to name obviously, who they got their tax return and they had a house with no air conditioning in Florida, by the way, which is 90 degrees on a good day. And instead of buying air conditioning for their house, they bought themselves Jordans and like jewelry. How could you be that stupid? How could you be that stupid? So they're sitting there scorching in 90-degree heat with no air conditioning. It stinks in the damn house. They got fans going. That's the best they got. And instead of buying the central air and heating, they bought Jordans because they wanted to look cool in front of people who they don't even know at their job. You don't even know those people. Hey, look, I have Jordans. Then when they go visit you, so let's say you become friends with them, right? Oh, man, you got the new Jordans? Cool. They go to your house. Where's your AC at? Oh, we don't have AC. So you're telling me that you're walking around with nice shoes, but you don't have no air conditioning. You're freaking, it's 90 degrees and you're freaking burning up in this house like a damn toaster. That's stupid. That's called being an idiot. Sorry, I'm being blunt about this. Don't blow your money on dumb shit. If you get your tax return back, or when you get it back, save it. Save it. Like, figure out what you want to do with it and save it. There's a lot of things you could do with it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I don't know you. I don't know what your financial situation is. Everybody's different. But you could open up an emergency fund in case you need it for you lose your job. Or you could take the money and invest it somewhere. Maybe some mutual funds. There's a lot of things you could do. But just don't blow it on things that are going to be temporary and that aren't going to really matter. Like things that, other people are going to, like, materialistic things. I mean, if you want to buy yourself a nice TV, don't get me wrong. There are things I do think are worth spending your money on. I'm not here to tell you what to spend your money on, but don't try to compete with others and pretend like you have more than you actually have. It's just a bad idea because you're going to end up always trying to be that cool guy who has money when you're not the cool guy who has money. You're a regular dude who has to struggle and pay bills. I know people who have really nice cars, but their homes are disgusting. I know people who have, very expensive jewelry, but they can't even afford it. And this is sad. This is sad. I used to know people who had legitimate diamonds. I don't know how they got them, probably from saving up for a long time, but actual like diamonds, and their kids wouldn't even eat. Like they would buy their kids like canned food. Like, are you serious? And to me, it's very egotistical and very like you're screwing around with yourself here because you're not, in the real world you can pretend to have all this stuff, but you really don't. And so what if some idiot thinks that you're broke? It's just some idiot. There's no point in buying overpriced things. So what I'm trying to say, unless you can afford it, which again, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money. I'm trying to tell you to be smart with your money. You know what I mean? Be smart with it. Because so many people I've met are just so bad with money. They blow something at a bad investment or they blow it gambling. I've seen that. And I just want to encourage, because I think most of y'all are pretty young. I don't have that many viewers over 40 based on my analytics. There's a few, but most of you guys are under 40, which is good because when you're under 40, you're still young. You're still hopefully in the prime of your career or getting to that prime. So you should be okay. But I've seen so many people blow their money on bad stuff, and I'm not one to do that. And the reason why is because when I was homeless, I had PTSD. I legitimately was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder from my therapist because I didn't want to go homeless ever again. So everything I do is to not go homeless. Everything I do subconsciously. See, I don't think about going to the gutter. I don't think about being homeless, but it's there in the back of my head subconsciously. You know what I mean? I work. I have to keep working. You know what I mean? I have to keep doing what I can. I have to keep educating myself. And it's a good problem to have. The only bad thing is it makes you kind of somewhat paranoid. I have actual paranoia for being broke. I have paranoia for being broke, which is why whenever I buy something, I try to save up money and pay it off cash. I don't like paying interest, or I try to find the cheapest version or something that's equivalent to it but less expensive, And that's just me being smart with my money, just me being smart. And the thing that sucks is sometimes you have to have money in order to live comfortably. I mean, most of the time you do. And it sucks because people will blow their money on like shoes or whatever, or, something like, like I said, jewelry, overpriced clothing, whatever. And then they eat like shit. They go eat at like fast food, and it's bad. It's a bad, I guess, spiral to go down. Excuse me. So Be smart with your money. If there's a video game that's out that you want to buy and you can't afford it yet, just keep working. Get a side job. Be practical about it. Save. Definitely save, because you never know what could happen. You might be on top of the world today, and then next week you get fired. Then you got to worry about, or the company does a layoff. Then you got to worry about, how am I going to make my money? You can go on unemployment, but they don't pay that much. I've been on unemployment before. So my whole thing is, my pain, I've turned it into a positive, but also it's still a negative because it's a harping issue in my brain. It's always going to be there. It's just, I don't know if I can ever get over this. You know what I mean? I've gone to counseling. Like I said, I'm always going to be like this, which is good because nobody wants to go broke, and I never want to go broke again. But I mean, when you go broke, it really does affect you. But I don't want people who are watching this to go broke. I don't want you to have to go broke to understand this. That's why I'm telling you now. Don't let yourself go broke. Just do the best you can, and always make sure you have, if possible, maybe a couple months' bills saved up. Really, the trick when you have an emergency fund is you want to have 3 to 6 months of expenses. So whatever your monthly rent, electric, cable, whatever you pay cell phone a month, add it all up, and then multiply that by 3 or 6, depending on how much money you make, and then store that in an emergency fund. Then that way you've always got money to pay your bills if you do lose your job, or if something else happens where your car breaks down, you have that money there to pay it. Then you can rebuild the emergency fund. Or if you have some kind of medical problem, right? You got money there that you can spend. Your AC breaks down, for example. We could go buy a new AC because you've got the money in the emergency fund. So these are just important tips I want to give you all about how I look at money, how you all should look at money, because I'm always paranoid for losing it, which is why I save. I've always been like this. I never do too many extravagant things, but once in a while I'll do. If I'm on a vacation or something, there's nothing wrong with splurging. Don't get me wrong. Just make sure you've got enough saved up so that when you do splurge, you don't splurge everything. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.